All right, welcome to another edition of the Current Era podcast. I am your host, Julian, and today I am talking about a subject that is relatively new to me, but it is a show that I know a lot of people are interested in. I kind of got bullied into doing this podcast by everybody I know because they just love this topic, and that topic is Game of Thrones. So I'll be the first to admit I never watched Game of Thrones before I started this podcast. I never really had an intention to, but I am currently in the middle of season three, and the show is okay right now. I can't say it's the greatest show I've ever seen, but I mean I've only seen 3 out of 7 seasons, so that's how it goes. But I did want to do a pod with my brother, the NBA expert and Game of Thrones enthusiast, and also Mandala, who is my movie expert and another Game of Thrones enthusiast. I got both of them together with myself, and we did a podcast about the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. We do go into full spoilers, so this is your spoiler warning. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. We talk about everything that happened in Game of Thrones season 1 and season 2, and we also talk about things that we can look forward to in season 3. So if you have not seen Game of Thrones, this is your spoiler warning. You need to back out now, okay? Because we're going to get deep cut, or as deep cut as they can. Um, so yeah, man. I mean, I can't say I'm a huge fan as of right now, but I do like the show. I mean, I think the show is interesting. I do think the show has some things that it can build upon. But like I said, I'm only in season 3 out of 7. So maybe when I or if I get to season 7, I'll think the show is as fantastic as everybody else does. But as of right now, it's just okay. But I was happy to do this podcast. I know my brother is a huge, huge fan of the show. I know Monolith is too. So they had a ton of fun talking about it. They enlightened me to a lot of things about the show, and I think I enlightened them to some things. They were surprised that I paid attention to so much. But I do this, okay? I'm a fan of movies. I'm a fan of television. So when I watch something, I pay attention to detail, and that was something that they commented on during the pod, which you'll hear. But yeah, guys, this was a really fun episode. Game of Thrones season 1, season 2. I really hope you enjoy this episode, guys. And please remember to like, subscribe, and review. Leave a review for me, please. Leave a review. Give me 5 stars. And make sure you download the episodes or just subscribe, and it'll download automatically for you. Thank you so much, guys. Let's get to the episode. Okay, so welcome to another edition of the Current Era podcast. I'm your host, Julian, and today I have 2 special guests on. I have the film expert, Mandala, back on, and I also have my brother, Javar, back on to help us talk about Game of Thrones. Javar is joining us via Skype. Javar, what's going on out there in the world, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm excited to talk about Game of Thrones. Julian, it's about time you're getting into it.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons grudgingly, I might add, but the series finally got good with the season 2 finale. So I can't say I'm a diehard yet, but I'm actually interested in the series now. So that's good. Mondi, what's going on with you, man? How you been?
What's going on? You can refer to me as Mandala of the House of Targaryen, the first of my name, the Unburnt, King of the Andals.
Okay, stop.
Okay,
Okay.
But yeah, I'm doing great. Javar, just want to let you know your sports takes are amazing.
Oh, thank you,
You're welcome, man.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Your movie takes are amazing. I'm excited for this one to bounce some stuff off you.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right, fellas. So let's go right into it. So what we're going to mainly discuss is the first 2 seasons because that's pretty much all I've seen. Spoiler warning to anybody that's listening. This is meant to catch everybody up for the season 8 premiere that's coming out at April 26th, I believe.
14th.
April 14th is when it comes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dang. All right, so yeah, April 14th. So get ready. Winter is coming. Is that still a catchphrase?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
winter is here now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Spoilers. Thanks. Okay. All right. So we're gonna stick with Game of Thrones season 1, season 2. Let's just do like a general introduction to the series. So for me, diving into the series, I had no idea what it was really about. So I had seen a lot of spoilers online. I had seen a lot of posters. I had seen trailers here and there, but I still had no idea what the series was about. So Javar, in your own words, can you tell somebody that hasn't seen this series what the hell it's about?
Well, the best way to describe it is it's an epic medieval fantasy series that has a lot of political, religious undertones, has a lot of characters, a lot of storylines, and it has something for everybody. And it just expands and evolves over time. A lot of character growth. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about a whole bunch of people trying to fight for political power, it's a Game of Thrones. That's what it's about. People trying to make power moves. And a lot of things evolve over time. The first couple seasons are actually setting that up. Like that's the main focus is
Okay.
on expanding the world and introducing the characters and establishing the factions and the politics that's going on.
Gotcha. Okay. And Mondi, what about you? How would you describe this series?
yeah, I have very similar, thoughts to him. But basically, it's about these houses. Houses are, families that have been, that have been around for generations, and they gain power, and they're all fighting to gain control of Westeros, which is basically a landmass where all the seven kingdoms are. Which there are more kingdoms technically, with the main seven kingdoms, and they all just want to sit on an Iron Throne located on King's Landing. And so,
Okay.
yeah, it's like you said, it's a Game of Thrones. People are just trying to make power moves constantly to
Right.
get to that throne.
And yeah, that's something that when I was watching the series, that's something that I noticed a lot is that it's a lot of like backstabbing and betrayals to get that. I think Cersei like actually said something along the lines of, you got to have power in this Game of Thrones. I like how they have to say the episode title in every episode. I think that's like really hilarious. But yeah,
I'm actually surprised you noticed that already.
oh, of course. Look, man, I love film and I love TV, so I study things like that. If it happens, I'm going to notice it.
Let me ask you then, have you noticed anything special about the introduction?
It changes. Yeah, it changes. I've noticed. So in the introduction, I talked to Mandala about this, but the introduction was something that was like really annoying because when the first few episodes, I didn't know what any of this crap was. Like I didn't know what King's Landing was. I didn't know what Winterfell was. I didn't know what the House of the Targaryen. I didn't know what none of that was. It was just words to me. But I mean, I think. I mean, I noticed that it was changing, but I didn't really catch on to it until like maybe halfway through the first season, because I mean, like I said, like to the first few episodes, I have no idea what all these names are.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you if it was changing then. It may have been, but I didn't know.
But even the score didn't catch you?
The what?
The amazing score?
No. Can you stop?
Yeah, it's classic, man. You tripping? You're gonna love it in a couple seasons.
Well, I'm sure.
I told him the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, after I hear it a few times, I'm sure that I'll be on it. But as of right now, it's fine. But I'm more sort of tolerate the opening because they keep changing things and they keep adding things and stuff like that, which is really cool. Like I enjoy that they do that.
Have you noticed that different characters have their own music?
Like their background music?
Yeah, their own like theme music and background music.
No, and it's funny you mentioned music because I feel like this show doesn't have a lot of music in the show that I've noticed. I don't know. Maybe I'm not paying attention hard enough to that, but I like in any other show I watch, I love theme music. Like for Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta has his classic dum. He has his classic music. Even on the Flash, he has his dun 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 dun. So
Just mentioned the Flash. Wow.
of course I did.
Like the Lord of Light and the Red Woman. I mean, we'll get to that, but in season two. But like, she has her own unique music. Well, they have their own unique music. The Lord of Light theme.
Okay.
The Lannisters have a distinct theme. Daenerys has her own heroic theme, and she has.
I haven't noticed it. I've noticed more of the absence of themes than I've noticed themes themselves. But
Which
that's
is
just me.
something to try to pay attention to more. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So-
not it doesn't hit you in the face. But I wanted to also touch on it. Yeah, I mean, this is a show that it's kind of daunting, right? Because they throw so much at you, so many locations, so many characters. You were kind of
Hmm.
touching on that when we were talking over the intro theme.
Yeah.
But so to you as someone that just jumped into it, where did you feel overwhelmed at first?
I didn't feel overwhelmed because I am someone, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like I watch a lot of TV and I watch a lot of film to where I can take in all this information, but it was it was more annoying than anything because I only cared about certain storylines, but there's like 10 going on at once. So they would show 5 minutes of a storyline that I cared about, and then I wouldn't see that storyline progress for another 2 or 3 episodes. That was something that was really annoying to me. Um, but yeah, I mean the amount of storylines was just it was just more annoying than confusing. I mean, I understand everything that's happening in the show. I just don't necessarily care about everything right now. But
Well, yeah, as for me, actually, it was pretty overwhelming for me though. Like,
really,
yeah, like when I first watched, I was like, "This is what is House Aaron?" And like,
yeah.
but that's what I've come to love: the complications and the complexity of the show. It's
Hmm.
like it makes the world feel so lived in when you have all these, all this history about the Andals and all that stuff. It just makes the world feel so alive, and I really appreciate that now.
Yeah.
Now, Mondi, when did you start watching it? Did you start when it first started, or
No, I didn't. I kept seeing. Okay, this is actually kind of embarrassing, but the reason the reason why I started watching this show was because I kept seeing pictures of Daenerys, and I was like, okay. I was like, okay, this
wow?
girl. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna just give this show a chance because she
She is
fine.
cute. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I started watching it, and I'm so glad I did because now I think it's the best show of all time in my opinion, and it's so much more than just looking at Daenerys. Because now you got Missandei, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't know who
started
that
pretty
is. So
early.
spoiler, thanks.
I started pretty early. I started like midway through season two. My
Oh
buddy
wow.
my buddy started, and he like he's been talking about it, and I caught like a snippet, and I was like, all right, let me check this out, because he just kept talking about it, and I was like, all right. And he's usually right about things. He put me on a lot of different shows and video games and stuff. And man, I was hooked. I mean, it was overwhelming. I had to like pretty much rewatch it. Like it's almost I feel like it's you have to rewatch at least season one and season two to
Hmm.
like really get an understanding, because by the time you just really get into it and you really start loving this show, you're gonna want to go back and touch on the history and stuff that you missed, like because they do a lot of little snippets, a lot of little backstory that they just sneak in there.
Right. Yeah, I
So
agree. I so the good thing for me about that is that Avi hasn't watched it yet. So I'm sure I'll get another opportunity to rewatch season 1 and 2 when I watch it with her. So that's good for me. But so Mondi, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but there's a lot of different regions
Yeah.
and kings, and there's can you like explain it for me because I still don't fully understand. So like there's King's Landing
Mhm.
and in King's Landing lives uh Joffrey and his mother Cersei, right? Like they're like the king of everything. Is that how it works?
Well, they're the king of Westeros. Okay, so basically the world is kind of split up into like two continents, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Westeros and Essos.
Okay.
Essos is Westeros is severely smaller than Essos, but that's where the all the Game of Thrones takes place.
Okay.
So basically, King's Landing is where that's where the Iron Throne is.
Right.
So you don't have to be from King's Landing to rule on, because King's Landing is where you rule all of Westeros essentially.
Okay.
So
capital.
it's the capital exactly,
Okay.
and north of, well, even though, okay, so beyond the wall is still considered Westeros. It's still in the same continent,
Okay.
but anyone who goes beyond the wall is considered, or who lives beyond the wall are considered free folk, which is
Wildlings.
wildlings,
Mm-hmm.
correct, and whatever else is out there, as you might come to learn as you keep watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
And where we see the Daenerys at is in Essos.
Oh, okay.
That's a huge landmass that is that's where the Dothraki are,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a lot of deserts, a lot of trading, a lot of slavery.
Right.
That's where the first man came from. That's where they migrated from into Westeros a long, long time ago.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot of lore. Like this stuff, I don't just know from watching the show. I had to go back and read up on it
I
and
was
stuff
about
like
to say
that.
I would love to touch on the lore if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah,
But
sure.
and this is stuff that has been explained in season one. Like old Nan and Meister Lewin used to tell Bran stories about this, and it kind of would just go over your head if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like when he was on his travels to the Wall, he was talking to Uncle Benjen, and he heard the stories about the Night's Watch and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And Ned would also talk about it. So I mean, there's a lot of lore that they just talked about that. If you're not really paying attention, it could easily go right past you. So as Mondi was talking about, so Westeros and Essos are the two main the two only continents known to man here. Westeros at the time was pre-civilization. It was the first men that was there, and the first men just they were just there messing around, kind of just think of like cavemen or whatever. I don't know, like, but they also touched on there was another life form called the children that they lived with. Like they don't really talk much about them at this time, but old Nan talked about the children of the forest. Like that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a mythical thing. Like, okay,
Hmm.
and then it was also touched on that back then they had a war with the White Walkers, and the children and the first men they defeated the White Walkers, and one of the first men, Bran the Builder, he built the wall and enchanted it with some magic that's supposed to keep the White Walkers away and whatnot. So that was the history of the wall. Now
Okay.
anyone who was already living beyond the wall, they just got outcasted. Like they just it was like whatever. Like sorry if y'all didn't know about it, but we're building the wall right here. And those descendants end up turning into the wildlings. So the Night's Watch over the time have been fighting to well, the White Walkers haven't been able to come anywhere near the wall. So the Night's Watch originally was built to protect the people from the White Walkers. But since the magic worked so well, they haven't seen White Walkers in thousands of years. But really, over time, the Night's Watch, their biggest problem has been the wildlings because
Mm-hmm.
they've been trying to get around the wall and going across the mountain or across the sea, and raiding villages and raping people and just causing havoc. So that's been their fight for like thousands of years is fighting the wildlings. But and then south of the wall, the closest main city is Winterfell. So that's
Okay.
why Winterfell, like they also like know a lot of the history of the North, and they even to today they still have like a lot of those old traditions. They still practice the old gods, which is the ones that the children and the first men practice when they
Right.
under those trees with the face on it.
Mm-hmm.
And going to fast forward a little bit. So there was also six other settlements, which eventually turned into kingdoms. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and name all of them, but the main ones in the show at this time are Winterfell, and then there was Dragonstone, where the Baratheons eventually lived,
Mm-hmm.
and there was King's Landing, which was just not even really a thing at the time, but it was like a big city as a central capital. But eventually, what happened was the first Targaryens who came from Essos, Valyria actually, which is we're also the home of the dragons. The first one of the most powerful Targaryens, he tamed a dragon, or several dragons actually, and he flew over to Westeros and just dominated all the people that was living there and staked his claim as the king.
That's the
And
Mad King, right?
no, this was Aegon the Conqueror, I want to say was his
Okay.
name. Um, and then over the centuries, the Targaryens have ruled, and they turned all those settlements into kingdoms. They gave the main houses of those settlements like warden of those regions, but they would
Lords.
all what'd you say?
I think he made them lords, right? Because they're called Lord of Winterfell and so on.
Well, so in those times, you didn't have to be all that to be a lord. If you were like a rich house and you were like, had any kind of fame and any kind of influence, you were considered highborn, and that's when you're a
Uh,
lord or a lady.
gotcha.
And if you're a poor or a peasant, you're, just, that's just, so there
Just
was
poor.
really not much middle class. Middle class is like Peter Baelish right now.
Okay.
Like he's in between. But so eventually, yeah. So over time, the Targaryens ruled, and that's just how it was, and it was fine and peace and harmony. But the problem with the Targaryens is that they inbred a lot. So every once in a while, they would have some crazies,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those crazies, and pretty much right before, 15, 20 years before the beginning of season one, was the Mad King, and
Mm-hmm.
he was, insane. He was out of his mind. So he nobody liked him. He was just a pain in the butt. Um, but the problem was what really kicked off the uh, Robert Baratheon's reign was so Baratheon. He was the heir to Dragonstone, which is where the Baratheons ruled at the time. Um, well, he for some political reason, I don't really know if they explained or don't know why, but he was betrothed to Ned Stark, his sister, and Ned Stark, the Starks were the rulers of the House Stark, or
Winterfell.
Wardens of the North, Winterfell. Yeah, so these are two main houses, but what kicked off the war was the Mad King's son. What's his name, Monday? Oh man.
It's not Rhaegar, is it?
Yeah, Rhaegar. Yes, Rhaegar. He stole Lyanna Stark and
Which
that
is Ned
drove
Stark's sister.
yeah Ned Stark's sister and Robert Baratheon's betrothed. He loved this woman.
Right.
He stole her, and that kicked off the war. Like Baratheon and the Starks, they got all their main houses in their region that allied with them, and they started a war against the Targaryens, which they had a lot of support because the Mad King was crazy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of other houses were like, screw it, yeah, let's get this guy out of here. And that kicked off the war. They killed all the Targaryens, and so Daenerys and Viserys, the two surviving Targaryens that you know of, were they were actually the Mad King's. What were they? Yeah, they were the Mad King's daughter and son. Like Rhaegar was the older brother, and then Viserys was the middle brother, and then Daenerys was the youngest. They were all the Mad King's children.
Mm-hmm.
The Mad King's the queen. When the Targaryens were getting destroyed, the queen went and cast off her youngest children off to Essos, and with one of her trusted advisors or whatever, and that's pretty much how they've been living undercover in Essos. Even though the king's land, everybody in the king knows about them. I mean, the kingdom knows about them, as you know, because they have spies and stuff. But they just been kind of just watching them over there. But that's where they start on their story, like 8, 9 years later. And yeah, so Robert Baratheon won the throne, and that's pretty much where they
Here
start.
we are.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like
And also, I think it's
15.
also important to note that I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off, but
Go ahead.
that Jamie Lannister was the one that killed the Mad King,
Yeah,
which is why he's
Kingslayer.
known as the Kingslayer.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Keep
So,
going.
okay, so I have a question about that because I mean, up to this point, they haven't really explained it. And
Explain
Javar,
what?
through your explanation of the lore, you didn't really explain it either. But so, were the Lannisters always in the King's Landing? Like, how did
So
Jamie Lannister get
sorry.
so close to be able to kill the king?
So Tywin Lannister. So the Lannisters are the richest. They're the richest
Mm-hmm.
region. They're the richest house. There we go. That's the best way to say it. And Tywin Lannister was the hand of the king. Daddy Lannister.
Oh, okay.
He was the hand of the king. And Jaime Lannister, he wanted to be a knight and he wanted to be a Kingsguard. So he's sworn into the Kingsguard, even though his dad didn't want him to.
Mm.
But that he did. Um, so yeah, that's just kind of where they were there. And so also, I forgot to mention a few things. So John Arryn was also, he was Lord of the Eyrie, which I don't know if they've shown the Eyrie. Yeah, they have for you by now. That's where Catelyn went to go see her sister.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a weird scene.
yeah. He was the Lord of the Eyrie. Like that was his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the Knights of the Vale and the Eyrie and whatnot, all those crap. He added to Ned and Robert's army. And Robert, like Ned didn't want to be hand of the king at the time when Robert won the kingdom. So he used John Arryn as his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So John Arryn, this also kicked off the beginning of the actual season. He died, and that
Mm-hmm.
was kind of the mystery around that. I'm sure you found out by now what happened there,
Right.
but
They poisoned him.
um, yeah, the Lannisters. But yeah, um, so well, Cersei. So yeah, so and well, I'm just not gonna. I'm not. I don't want to get into too much there, but so Tywin Lannister actually he helped out Robert by he headed the Lannister army besieged the kingdom and killed all fought off all the city watch, and basically was about to take over the castle. But the Mad King, he had wildfire, which is this explosive green fire, which I'm sure you've seen by now too.
Yep, they showed it.
He had that planted under the entire kingdom, and he was about to ready to just blow up the entire kingdom because he thought everybody was after. He thought everybody was after him. He was just paranoid. So he was saying, "Burn them all, burn them all." He was he's giving the order to blow everybody up. And Jaime Lannister, a part of this Kingsguard, which is always supposed to be around him, especially in times like this, he stabbed him in the back and killed him. So that's why he's known.
So are they going to show that? Like, how do you know that?
They are going to show flashbacks, but they have talked about it. I mean, that's
well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, so they've talked about it, but I knew nothing of the Mad King trying to blow up the kingdom. And I mean, like they've always said that he stabbed the king in the back. I mean, they call him the Kingslayer behind his back, and he doesn't like it, quote unquote. But
like Jaime Lannister actually told this story by now. By the end of season 2, you should have seen that.
Nah, I don't remember that. But okay,
it's hard picking up on this stuff on first watch too. Like once you watch it a second time, you already know what's going on. It's easier to pick up on things like little tidbits about the history.
Maybe so. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go into deep dive into season 1. So, in season 1, we kind of talked about it, but the Stark family, they are they're essentially the main cast of characters that we see. They're the ones that get the most screen time. So there's Ned Stark, who's the King of Winterfell, Lord of Winterfell, however you want to say it. And I swear that they did not mention this other kid. So in the first season, there was only Bran, there was Jon Snow, there was who's the king now? Robert. He's named Robert too?
It's Robert.
They call him Rob. Okay.
Oh,
Rob, there was Sansa, there was Arya.
Rickon.
Bruh, they did not mention that little kid. Like,
yes,
I didn't know they didn't. I did not see that little kid until season 2.
No, he's there. He's there.
He's always there, but they don't show him a lot. He doesn't not get a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to say because I don't remember seeing him until season 2. So anyway,
it's like they barely even show Tommen right now in these first couple seasons, even though he's going to be more relevant later. But like,
who's Tommen?
The Lannister kid. He's Joffrey's younger brother.
Yeah.
And
Joffrey has a younger brother and a younger
he does.
They barely talk about.
Okay.
They're going to be more relevant later.
More spoilers. Okay, great. So Jon Snow.
Like every minor character becomes more relevant. It's just kind of funny like that.
Okay. So in season 1, to me, Jon Snow is the standout. He's the bastard of Ned Stark. Clearly, the mom just hates him, and it's really awkward, but it's kind of entertaining to watch because she hates him so much. But she tolerates him, out of respect for the king, I guess. And the poor guy, he feels like he doesn't belong because he's a bastard and everybody knows, and he goes to the Night's Watch. And the Night's Watch, from what I've seen, is essentially just a cult that is protecting the wall. In the opening scene of Game of Thrones, we see the Night's Watch, 3 guys getting slaughtered, or 2 getting slaughtered, and 1 getting away. Were those White Walkers in the beginning? I couldn't really tell.
They were white.
Did you interpret it as White Walkers, or did you interpret it as wildlings? How'd you see it?
I mean, I don't really remember, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, as Javar said, whites. Yeah.
What does that mean? Whites? White Walkers?
Zombies, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then that's something that they also showed in season 1 is that they showed that people are just like reanimating, but only certain people. So is that people just north of the wall? Like, how does that whole Walking Dead thing work? Mandala.
I mean, I feel like you should keep watching.
Oh, okay.
See,
okay. That's all I need to know. Thank you. Okay.
Don't cry spoilers and then be like,
no. Hey, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. I thank you for letting me know. Okay. So in season 1, Mandala, I'll start with you. How was Jon Snow and the Stark family to you? Like, were they as interesting to you as they were to me, I guess?
Yeah. I think the Starks is what is the lens that the show wants us to look, like the average viewer to look through.
Okay.
Like, these are the good guys, they have honor, they're humble, things of that nature.
There must always be a Stark in Winterfell.
Yeah. So I think this is what, at least starting off anyway, the show wants the viewers to look through the eyes of the Stark, which is why we're so attached to Ned and Rob and all them. So
sure.
And Jon is just a extension of that, even though he's a bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said earlier, Jon was your favorite character right now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started off really loving Rob.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, and
I felt like he didn't get any screen time till season 2.
yeah, but like Rob is just so cool to me. Like I think
Okay.
I like Rob a lot. So
The young
y-
wolf.
yeah, yeah, the
hmm
young wolf. So I really enjoy the Starks too. I think most people do. It's the centerfold of the show,
Yeah.
and I like other houses too, but I don't know where exactly you are. I haven't seen the show in so long, so I'm not
hmm
going to say anything about who I
Okay.
like.
What about you, Javar? What did you think of the Starks starting out?
Yeah, I mean, just like Monty said. Well, what's actually interesting is that each scene is actually meant to look through the lens of a particular character. Usually, the first character they show, because that's how the books each chapter is. Like each chapter is from a different character's point of view.
Mm.
So, but it does they do a good job of really having everything through the lens of at least one Stark, where there's Bran, where there's Jon Snow, where there's Ned, Arya.
hmm
It seems like they are the main characters. They're the main house, and they're the good guys. And the
Right.
Lannisters are the bad guys. It's pretty much that cut and dry.
Yeah. So the next set of characters that I thought was kind of interesting was Khaleesi, or Daenerys Targaryen, and the Dothraki. So coming into the series in 2019, I mean, obviously Jason Momoa is like a huge star now, but and I guess when the series debuted, he was relatively unknown, I guess.
Hmm.
But watching it now, I'm like, oh, there's Jason Momoa. So I mean, I'm obviously interested in his
Hmm.
character and what he does, and I mean, he doesn't really last that long, but he has a he's the king of the Dothraki, and he has a few cool kills, and he kills I don't even remember her brother's name. He was so irrelevant. He was really annoying, but
Viserys, right? Yeah.
sure, yeah. I liked how he killed him. It was
The
real
rightful heir.
sure. Yeah, he was he was wild. Like this dude did not get that he was like in second place. Like clearly they wanted the girl Khaleesi to be the guy, and he was just like, look, I will let all these dudes rape you from my throne. Like
Well,
you don't
remember,
get
as you
this.
said earlier, well, as Javar said earlier, it's kind of the trend in the Targaryen
Hmm.
household to have these crazies, you know?
Oh,
Like
okay.
every generation, they have a crazy because they just always inbred. They keep marrying their sisters
Oh,
or their
okay.
cousins or whatever.
Well, yeah. So yeah, he died crazy man. But yeah, I mean, Khaleesi, obviously they had they had a lot of hints about her abilities throughout the first season, where she's getting into the bath that's supposed to be too hot, where
Hmm.
she touches the dragon egg that's on the fire and it burns the other girl, but it doesn't burn her. Um, and then the end of season 1, where she goes into the fire and out comes 3 dragons.
The unburnt.
uh it was kind of, I mean, it was cool, I
And
guess.
look, I also wanted to mention this is another reason why they inbreed because they want 100% Targaryen blood so they could pass down those mystical dragon,
uh
dragon, so they can control
Qualities.
dragons and being
mhm.
impervious to fire and all that stuff. Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, that's cool and all, but coming into the show, for me anyway, I didn't know that the show was going to be, I guess, magical and stuff like that. So like, her having powers, she has powers essentially. So I mean, her having powers was kind of like
Abilities, but sure.
her having powers is kind of weird to me. I was just like, oh, okay, so we have powers now. Um, so I guess my question to you is, and Javar, I'll start with you. When, well, it's kind of like a hard question to phrase. I'm just trying to ask you, was it weird that she had powers? Because it was weird for me. I was like, where did this come from? It kind of came out of left field.
I mean, no, because they had dragon eggs, so I was hoping they would hatch. I mean,
Yeah,
and then
I'm sorry.
as far as her like not getting burned, I mean, I thought, I mean, they were she kept on trying to say,
She's the
I
mother
mean,
of dragons.
yeah, the mother. Well, not only that, but they kept on just kind of trying to hint that Targaryens were some kind of special thing. So I was just like,
Sure.
okay, maybe she's got something special. I mean, they
hmm
already hinted they had some kind of mysticism with zombies and stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
anything could happen at this point. You never know.
Okay. Yeah. No. It really surprised me. I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going with the show. I mean, no. I mean, it definitely made me more interested because I mean, powers and mysticism and wizards, like that's right up my alley. Like it just, I don't, for some reason, I just didn't think the show was going that way.
Oh,
Did
really?
it surprise you at all, Monty?
You
No,
thought it was just going to be
not at
straight
all.
politics.
Yeah, because I mean,
pretty
like
much.
in a world full of dragons and what zombies and or whatever, is it really that hard to believe that somebody can be not affected by fire?
Well, no, but I mean, like you said it earlier, like in the first season, I mean, in the first scene of the show,
Yeah.
I didn't know for sure if that was White Walkers. It could have just been wildling. So who knows? So like at that point, I hadn't seen nothing but swords and shields and people killing each other.
Yeah. Okay, but also you mentioned earlier though that you had seen spoilers, so I assume you've seen where the show evolves to
Mm-mm.
in at least capacity. No.
I no, I
Okay.
so all, I mean,
Look,
essentially
and they
all of the
look, and
spoilers.
they had Bran seeing visions through animals and stuff too. I mean, you didn't think that was
I
they
mean,
was going somewhere with that too?
I just interpreted it as a little kid having dreams. I mean, he was seeing three-eyed birds, and that's supposed to symbolize death, maybe. Um, I don't know. I mean, he was seeing through the wolf. I literally just thought that that was
Even those
him
wolves,
having dreams.
those are giant wolves, the
Yeah.
dire
Yeah,
wolves. I
the
mean,
dire
that's
wolves. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's cool and all, but I just it really just surprised me. I was like, okay, this is where we're going. That's I
Mhm.
mean, but like I said, like I was cool. I was like, oh great, this is it makes the show more interesting. So let's move on to King Robert and Cersei. So they hate each other, but they're supposed to be married because of whatever political thing, and um,
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in the lore. So the reason why Tywin was so willing to ally with
because his
Robert
king
is
was going to
because
marry, yeah, I
yeah
mean because his daughter was going
like
to marry the king.
exactly. He's like yeah, I'm gonna have my daughter marry you since your betrothed is dead.
Right.
By then Lyanna Stark is dead. Um, So yeah, and that's why
Mhm.
Cersei is the queen. But they never had love for each other because
Yeah.
Robert always had eyes on Lyanna Stark, and
Hmm.
since then he was just whoring and being drunk and just being useless.
Yeah.
And Cersei just gave up on him, I guess, and
Yeah, so they
started
they
plotting.
they had a scene towards the end of season one together where they were trying to speak openly with each other, and it felt like for the first time in a long time where essentially Cersei was like, was there ever a chance for us or something like that? And he replied, no. And she was like, I knew it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But other than that, yeah, it was kind of weird seeing them because, like I said, seeing it through my lens. I mean, I had seen no trailer for this season. I didn't know what was going on. So through my lens, it's just a husband and wife that just don't like each other, and it was just really weird. And like it was just so open. Like this dude was just like kissing other girls and hugging other girls and being up all of other girls in front of her, and she was just looking and hating it.
Mhm.
I mean, it was obvious that she was plotting, but yeah, it was like really weird. And then they have these children, quote unquote, that are supposed to be his but are not his. You find that out. Mondi, I'll start with you. Prince Joffrey, who turns into the king. Why does everybody hate this kid so much? I mean, yeah, he's really annoying. I don't like him, but I mean, do you hate him as much as everybody else does?
Hatred, pure hatred, and I don't understand how you don't have that same exact
No, I
Yeah,
feeling.
do.
he's cruel.
He's the reason why Ned is like gone.
Yeah. So, but
Oh wait, hold on. This is spoiler free, right?
huh?
This is spoiler free.
No, no. Well, I mean, season one and season two are fair game. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the
Okay.
he gave
Yeah.
the
Okay.
order to kill Ned
Yeah.
Stark
Yeah. How do
when
you not hate this kid?
you
I don't
know
understand. He's
I mean, to me, the thing that made me hate him more was when he got Sansa's wolf killed.
yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh,
So you
like
do hate
this
him?
little bastard.
Is
Yeah, I
he?
don't like him. Yeah.
Okay. No. You say he was annoying. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's beyond annoying to me. He's the definition of like
Yeah,
ugh,
he's a little
entitled brat. Yeah. I hate him.
yeah. Jabbar, what do you think about King Joffrey?
Well, yeah, I don't see how you could not hate him. He's cruel. He's spoiled. He doesn't listen to anybody. I mean, he doesn't listen to his mom, doesn't listen to his granddad. Um, so
Uncle Jamie,
yeah, Uncle Jamie is just a monster. Yeah.
aka Daddy
Yeah,
Jamie.
okay, daddy, yeah.
But
Very
I
interesting.
mean, you kind of respect that he's his own. He's only like what 13, 14, and
They
he's
said he
got
was
his own
17.
backbone. Oh, 17. Okay, well, he's got his own backbone. I
Nah,
think in the
Yeah, I would
book
have
he's
said, yeah,
younger,
nah.
but
I don't respect
Yeah, I
that.
don't like him. Yeah, I do like how all of the Stark children have their own little wolf. I thought that was really cool in season one where they all got their own wolf.
Mhm.
But like, Arya's had to run away. Sansa's got killed. Ghost is still alive. I like Ghost. I like him the best. Rob's is really cool. Can Rob turn into a werewolf or something?
What?
No, but that's
Oh,
like
he just yes.
the
That's like the
the
myth around
legend.
him.
Yeah, that's the myth
Yeah.
because
Okay.
he's got a wolf out there fighting. He's undefeated.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and
I'll turn into a wolf.
and Brand's wolf saved his life. It like sleeps with him. I think. Yeah, I'm like a huge fan of the wolves, and I hope they like all survive. It's like,
Mhm.
don't tell me if they die or not. Thanks. Okay, so next let's move on to some of the Lannisters. So Peter Dinklage, who I mean, obviously we know from a plethora of film and TV, but um, I was surprised to see that he has such a heavy role in this series in season 1 and 2. He's really a driving force for the storylines. He's incredibly smart, which is cool to see that he's relevant. And yeah, so Javar, I'll start with you, man. What do you think about Peter Dinklage's role in Game of Thrones so far?
He's essential. I mean, he's one of those guys that, well, he's well traveled. He gets all around the map, and
Hmm.
he links up with all these different main characters, has all these different relationships, and he's wise. He's smart. He gets his way out of things. He even figures out how to fight when he has to.
Yeah, I've seen.
So yeah, he's a good character, for sure. He's one of the actually the only likable Lannister to me.
What do you think, Monty?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's the best of Jamie and the best of Cersei. He has the
Hmm.
cunning of Cersei. He has the bravery of Jamie. He's a Lannister that that one would aspire to be, and it's just so sad that Tywin just doesn't see that
Yeah.
due to
He gets
his
no respect.
impish nature or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, it just I think he just breathes a lot of pathos for his character because he's he's well traveled, he's intelligent, he finds ways to get out of situations, but due to his disability or whatnot or
Hmm.
whatever, he's seen a different way, and he's constantly having to prove himself, which is kind of heartbreaking, but it's a great way to it's a great character for the show, in my opinion.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, uh, Peter Dinklage's character. What is his character's name again?
Tyrion.
Tyrion. Yeah. So his character in the series is you're annoying. His character in the series is like essentially, he's I think I said it earlier, but he's involved in like every major storyline. He kind of has his hand in everything. One of my favorite things about him was towards the end of season 2 when he was trying to figure out, who he could trust and who he couldn't trust. He was telling the I think his name is Varys and Baelish and the Maester. He told him like 3 different stories about where the daughter is going just to see which one would run and tell the queen. And of course, it was old man Maester. But yeah, I really enjoy his smarts. Jamie at this point is, I mean, I don't really care for him. I
Mhm.
mean, apparently he's a really good swordsman, but I don't know if I'll ever get to see that because at this point he's still a prisoner. So who knows? I mean, he had a battle with Ned Stark, which looked like he was losing until his guard stepped in. So I don't really have too much thoughts on him. I mean, all you're doing is having sex with his sister, to be honest. And Cersei, yeah, I don't like her. She's almost just as annoying as Joffrey. But as a woman in this time, she's doing what she has to do to stay alive and keep her children alive and keep her place. So I kind of get it. But yeah, what about you, Mondi? Do you care about the other Lannisters so far?
I guess so far as season 2, yeah, as you said, Jamie's pretty neutral. Cersei, that's actually a really good point you just brought up. I never even thought about that. Like she's doing what she has to as a woman in that time to just gain respect and power.
Yeah.
That's actually a new way for me to look at her now. No, because I always hated Cersei. I was like,
Oh wow.
for a woman, it must be 10 times as hard to gain power. Like, and so her methods, of course, I might not always agree with
Yeah.
or never agree with, but in her position, her trying to do what she has to do. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean in this time frame, the only way women can gain power is by marrying powerful men.
yeah, yeah,
So, her husband's dead.
yeah.
So I mean she has to do what she has to do to keep her throne, essentially.
Yeah,
But
you're right. Yeah.
yeah. Jafar, what about you? What do you care about the other Lannisters at this point in the series?
Not Jamie really too much, but
Hmm.
Cersei, she's interesting just because she's manipulative, and
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting that she probably was just laying low until, just laying low and sleeping with her brother and just, being entitled queen or whatever, doing what she wants until John Arryn started sniffing around in their
Hmm.
affairs, and she got him killed. And ever since then, she's just been getting slimier and slimier. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
interesting to see her character evolve.
Definitely. So, we kind of already went into it, but with the White Walkers and the dragons, and obviously, in the season 1 finale, you see the dragons hatch, and There were three baby dragons. There's so many mentions of White Walkers and all of this. So going into season two, the show is just expanding so much. We meet Tywin Lannister. His name is Tywin, right? The Big Daddy.
Hold on, Jillian, there's one essential thing we have to talk about. How shocked were you when Ned Stark got his head chopped off?
I wasn't shocked at all because it was spoiled for me. That's why I didn't talk about it. It was,
Oh,
yeah, it was spoiled. So like when it happened, I was just like,
That ruins the whole.
it does.
Well,
It ruined it for me. You're right because
That
like
ruins the
I
whole
didn't
experience.
care. Like
because
I
he was pretty
didn't
much the
care.
main character of season one, so
Yeah,
that
he was.
should have been a huge shocker. So
Yeah, it should have been. You're right. I agree. But like I said, I mean, I've seen so many spoilers about the show, and that one was one that I wished I could have just scrolled and not seen, but I saw it and I was just like, so yeah,
what
it
about how
really
developed and
pissed
how
me
it
off.
went down?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it just made me not like
Do
Joffrey,
you think he could
but
have done anything different to like what would have been his best move? And
he,
why do you think he felt like he had to stay in uh you know
I mean, that's who he is as a man and a character. I mean, he's a man of honor, quote unquote. So he feels like he has to do, what I mean. A man can only do what he's done all his life. So if he's been that guy all his life, then that's the guy he's going to be until the end. I mean, he pledged loyalty to King Robert. King Robert was on his deathbed. He told him, "Hey, I want you to be the acting king until my heir comes of age." And he tried that. He put his faith in the wrong people, and he got backstabbed. I mean, Sansa tried to beg for his life, and it made it. Joffrey made it seem like it was all good, and he gave the order to get him killed. So he was doomed either way, really.
that's kind of just like life, right? You can't
Damned
who
if you
can you
do,
really
damned if
trust?
you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. And
any
also,
thoughts,
I
man?
think, yeah, I think his code of honor bit him in the ass at the end because
Hmm.
he was so, what's the word? I can't even think of the
So
word.
loyal.
Yeah, he's just so loyal and he's so, stuck on honor that why would you tell Cersei
Right.
that,
Right.
that you know of their affair?
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's pros and cons to being that honorable of a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
But I
saying?
think I think that part in particular has to do with him being a king. Because I mean, being a king and being a man in power, you get your way, and you're used to people treating you and talking to you in a certain respect. So him being a king for most of his life,
Hmm.
he's probably like, all right, I'm gonna tell you this once.
Hmm.
You do it, you fix it. I don't care if you're the queen. I don't care about none of that. Because in his mind, at that point in his mind, he was about to be the acting king. So I
Hmm.
mean, he was probably just like, look, get it done, save your children, because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's true, but also he still has suspicions that she was the one who killed.
John Aaron.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, so knowing that, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
And this
he's
isn't
a
his
fool.
home court. This isn't his home grounds.
Yeah,
She's
this is
got
foreign land. Yeah.
15,
Hmm.
20 years of living here in the capital and got, all these people in her pocket. Well,
Very
he's
true.
got only his men that he brought down here. It was just hella naive, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like a problem with being too good and being too honorable. Like, and
Last guy's
that's kind
finished.
of like what a lot of main characters have to learn is the game.
Yeah.
And
Game of Thrones.
Very good, Javar. I like how you threw that in there. I like how you threw that in there. All right, so yeah, in season two, like I said, the world expands greatly. We meet a lot of new characters. We meet the Lannister's dad, Tywin. We meet, well, we don't meet, but we finally get to see Robb Stark. Actually get some screen time. We get to see his friend, that is Lord of the Sea, or I can't remember the dude's name, but Theon. Theon, yeah.
So
Greyjoy
do you
betrays
really know
him.
his story?
Yeah. They explained it. I mean, I just don't care.
I guess just for the
But
listeners. I mean, no, I mean because he's becomes more relevant. So
oh, he does. I was
um,
hoping he was gonna die. That sucks.
so he's from the Iron Islands, which is a
Hmm.
small region that defects from the kingdom. Like they just kind of act on their own and they raid villages around the kingdoms and whatnot. But they're like their own separate islands is just close enough.
Yep.
And
They have an army of ships.
yes, they have a lot of ships. Yeah, so they so Ned and his in the north they went and just smacked them down and because they were trying to start some stuff. The Ironborn, they were starting some stuff. So Ned and his people went down and smacked them down and basically instead of killing the Lord of the Iron Islands, he said, "Look, you're going to yield to these terms, and I'm going to take your son as well, actually, old boy offered his son up as
Mm-hmm.
like a offering of
Peace.
good faith, of
Mm-hmm.
peace. Yeah. So that's Theon, and Theon has been with the Starks for like 15 years, but he's
Yep.
been they've been treating him well. Like they even though he's a prisoner there, they don't like they treat him like a son almost.
Mm-hmm.
So he's grown to be like pretty much best friends with Rob and John.
Like brothers.
Well, actually, he gives John a hard time because he's a bastard, just someone he could bully. But all three of them kind of grew up together.
Yeah, which also speaks to how honorable a man Ned is, because most kings who have a war don't treat them like their own son.
Sure.
Right. They treat well. Sansa's a ward of the capital right now, and they're besides her getting tormented by Joffrey, they still treating her decently.
Well,
But that's
not.
another example.
I want to say not really though, because I mean at the end they Joffrey like is just like yeah, you're right. I don't want her anymore. She's a traitor. Her brother's a traitor. And then I mean I don't know what happens next, but basically at the end of season 2 she kind of just got cast aside, and she was looks like she was about to leave with Baelish, but we'll see. But yeah, we're meeting a lot of characters, and one of the ones that creeped me out the most is this witch lady, in
Melisandre.
red, whatever her name is. I don't like her. So she brings old dude down to get on the boats, or I can't remember. He was smuggling her somewhere, and they get to this little gate, and she takes off her robe, and she's super pregnant, and then she sits down and she burps out like a spirit, and that like really freaked me out. Like it was super super weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then the spirit goes and kills
Renly brother.
Renly,
Really
yeah,
which is the
Robert's
king's
brother, yeah,
youngest brother.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, that was really weird, but the show is expanding. There's it's magic and dragons and wizards now. So, Mondo, what was your reaction to that scene? I imagine that had to be a huge scene in the series.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I think it was a good character introduction.
Character introduction for who?
Well, not character introduction, but more so a power introduction of
Oh, to the witch
Melisandre.
lady?
Yeah, Melisandre.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, up until then, we thought that what's his name? That Renly Baratheon was a fair chance at winning the throne.
Yeah,
So
he has 100,000 soldiers.
yeah, so that was a huge death. How do you feel about Stannis? You like Stannis Baratheon at all?
Not really, no. So like the whole fight for the throne thing is kind of secondary to me. Like I really don't care about it.
Okay.
I think, and the reason I think that it's so boring is because I used to watch Spartacus. I was a huge fan of Spartacus. There's a show that came on Stars, and that was all about the fight for. I mean, it wasn't a fight for a throne. It was a fight for freedom, essentially. But it had so much war in it, and I'm kind of worn out. Like I'm just so tired of seeing it. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. Stannis, he got his butt kicked at the end of the season, but he's still alive somehow. So yeah.
Yeah, and with Stannis, like, do you understand his conviction as to why he feels like
I mean,
the throne is
technically,
his?
he is the rightful king. Yeah. I mean, his brother died, and those children ain't his children. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, he
Also,
should be king. Yeah.
and also, the witch lady, as you call her, Melisandre, has told him that he is the reincarnation of the hero from like 1,000 years, something like that back, who killed the White Walker. So he really believed
Oh
that.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And kept showing him visions in the fire.
Yeah, the Lord of Light. Yeah.
So she only showed him one vision to where I'm at, and I didn't see what the vision was. I mean, he just looked, and he was like, "Yes." So that's all.
She also took his blood or something, right? And did like something in the fire, 3 offerings. So
No.
she did, man, because that was like right before the scene where they had sex, and then next thing you know, Sir Davos is smuggling her to the beach.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that too. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't like her.
I love Sir Davos too, by the way. I just like him as a character, as a guy.
Yeah, he looked like he got killed though at the end of the season when he got blown up, him and his son. So I guess we'll see about that too. So yeah, I mean, and yeah, at this point, Theon has this plan to take over Winterfell because he's not getting respect from his sister, he's not getting respect from his dad. They don't really want him there. So, as Rob is off fighting this war that, because his dad got killed and they're all fighting for the throne, blah, blah, blah. Rob don't want the throne. He wants his sisters and he wants his dad's corpse. But point is, nobody's there to protect Winterfell. So Theon goes home to the Greyjoys and he is he's not received very well. He gets one ship and this motley crew, and they tell him to go take some small fisherman town, but he ends up going to take Winterfell. To me, that was like a monstrous betrayal. That's why I said like he has to die. Javar, how did you feel about Theon going to take Winterfell at that point?
I mean, it was just another crushing blow for the Starks. It's like, man, like you're here, your dad gets killed, your family's all spread out,
Yep.
and you're trying to fight a war, and then you're getting stabbed in the back at home by,
Yeah.
your right hand man. So yeah, that's just like it's tough. And I mean, Theon already was kind of a douche, like really up until this point. So they
Hmm.
didn't make him that likable. So it's like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, his character goes through a lot. So it's just keep watching.
What about you, Monty?
Yeah, I have the exact same, thoughts as Javar. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I do. I have nothing to add to that.
Okay. So
Yeah, just keep watching out for Theon.
okay, great. All right, so yeah, and then there's so many storylines to keep up with, but fast forwarding to Daenerys. So throughout season two, essentially, they're her and the small Dothraki people that she have are just wandering through the desert and just dying one by one, and they finally get to this land where the 13 are there. And they initially don't welcome her in, but this dude, I can't say it, Zoro, whatever his name is, lets her in. And
The one black
they,
dude.
yeah, exactly, the one black guy. They let her in, and she has her dragons, and then her dragons get stolen by the warlock, and the warlock can like multiply himself. And yeah, it was getting a little too sorcery. So I'm glad that her dragons killed him. She has this little command, I forget what it is, that makes them breathe fire.
Varys.
There we go. And yeah, they breathed fire and killed him. It was a really cool scene. I really enjoyed it. Um, and the black guy got locked in his tomb that didn't have any money in it. So, what Jawar, I'll start with you, man. What do you think about Daenerys and her storyline in season two?
Look, I'm gonna be honest, man. This is like the closest thing this series has to filler. Like
Oh
that
wow.
whole storyline was not significant for anything other than she learned that the command for her
Hmm.
dragons to breathe fire. So I
Okay.
mean, yeah, there's really nothing else to really take away from that, to be honest.
Same for you, Monty.
Yeah, but yeah, but it's still cool seeing the evolution of the growth of her dragons and all that.
Hmm.
Just seeing them get bigger as a viewer is just cool and more
So,
powerful.
and yeah, that's something I want to touch on too, because like I mean, is there going to be a time skip anytime soon? Because they're like really really small, and she's supposed to ride them into battle and kill everybody. So,
Yeah, like every season they skip like months or even maybe a year or two ahead of time
oh okay,
usually.
okay,
Yeah, and it's been established that dragons can grow fairly fast.
okay, okay, that's
Like
good.
over time, you should have seen like the wolves get bigger.
Yeah,
Like that kind of
yeah.
signifying has been months, and they even kind of talk about it when they're traveling. It's been months on the road, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes by like that, like subtle hints.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we mentioned it a little bit earlier with the Starks and how they're all spread out. So poor Arya, she's on her own. She's on her own, I should say. She's had to pose as a boy to, just evade death and capture. And then, I mean, it's weird how this happened, but Tyrion Lannister finds her in this little camp that he has and picks her out as a
Tywin
girl.
Lannister.
And Tywin, excuse me, Tywin Lannister finds her, picks her out, and makes her a cup maid, and she's hearing all these plans about battle. And I mean, she almost blew her cover a few times, or she can read and she don't know where she's from and stuff like that. But it was real cool cat and mouse stuff because, in my opinion, I think Tywin knows something is up with this girl. Like he can't be so stupid as to think that she's just some normal little girl. But I really enjoy Arya. I like that she's not just some Barbie doll girl. She don't want to grow up and marry a prince. Like she want to fight. So Monty, I'll start with you. How do you feel about Arya and her storylines? Do you like her at all?
Yeah, yeah, I love Arya. She's such a different take on, as you said, the typical princess.
Yeah.
And yeah, like like Theon, just keep watching her and see her evolution, and I think you're gonna be really really enjoy what not the word what's the no what's the word you're gonna be really delighted about
Hmm.
where her story goes, and yeah, just keep watching.
Okay, Javar, what about you? Do you like Arya right now?
Yeah, man. Like you said, she's different. She's defiant. Um, and she just has a little flair about her. But yeah,
Right.
she definitely her character definitely evolves. She evolves into like a whole different class of character. Like it's
Oh,
kind of
cool.
crazy how much she goes through. Really, almost all of the main characters go through crazy changes. I mean, like from Bran, where's he at now? He's just kind of like
He's
he's hiding under. Well, no, he's since Theon took over the Winterfell, he's kind of just captured or what?
Well, so at this point, it looked like at the end of season two, Theon, for some reason, they were surrounded. Like Theon and the little guys, like the 20 men that they had there were surrounded in Winterfell. I think Robb sent 500 men or something like that to take it back. And Theon was trying to, trying to get them hyped to go out there and die. And dude knocked him over the head and drug him out, put it back over his head and
Right.
drug him out. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that
Um,
was that was the Bolton's man. He sent some he offered up some men to go back and check on him and
mhm.
take back Winterfell. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, then they saw that the old guy was he crawled by his tree so he could die with the old gods. That was a little sweet scene.
And they did
Um,
escape.
I don't know. They didn't show that. They just showed that they were like, they watched him die and they walked away. So I don't know where they went. I guess we'll find out. And then
I
moving
mean,
to
but they're not
John,
at Winterfell anymore, is what I'm trying to say.
they looked like they were to me, but that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Like I don't know. Uh, and yeah, so Jon Snow, he's out there on a mission with his what do they call it? Night's Watch
Yeah.
guys, and they meet some wildlings, and he's for some reason he takes this girl and doesn't kill her. He keeps her alive. So he's starting to get annoying because like why would you do that? Um, and then yeah, she leads him to the wildlings and the bone guy, and he sees this whole new city of wildlings. It looked huge from the brief glimpse that I saw of it, and then the season ends with you see the White Walkers coming on zombie horses. That was really weird. So
So I
I
wanted
guess
to touch on some things here that we kind of brushed that we didn't touch over. So with the Night's Watch, at first they were out at Castor's place, right? This guy that's got all his daughters that he keeps
hmm
marrying.
yep,
So
marrying and impregnating.
so they
Disgusting.
showed
Yeah.
that what happens to the sons, right?
Yes, that well he's offering them up to somebody. It didn't say who, but I'm guessing White Walkers. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they showed the baby get the eyes turn blue.
No, they didn't. I didn't see that.
They
They
did, man.
okay, well I
That
didn't
was right
see
in the end of the episode. Okay.
it.
Yeah, so the White Walkers take like this guy's offering up his sons to the White Walkers, and the White Walkers are not attacking him because they're doing that. So that's
hmm
why he's not worried about nothing. Um, so
So the White
they haven't
Walkers are
really.
like intelligible. They have some level of intelligence, so they're not just zombies.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
interesting.
and so they're turning. I'm not going to go any further than that, but yeah, they're doing something with the babies, and clearly they're turning them into something like turning their eyes blue. That's the
Sure.
only thing they really showed, like live babies. So yeah. So that I just wanted to mention that. So keep that in
hmm
mind. Um, and why did John split up from his men when they were out with Ygritte and the
Well,
rest of those wildlings?
yeah. So like when they found her, he was like, this is my kill. Essentially, like I'll do it. And they just left. It was like, all right, we'll need to see this, and they left. And he couldn't do it, so he tied her up. And
And
he
then they
tried to
like
find her, and
fell
they
off
couldn't find
somewhere.
each other. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she got away and she ran, and he caught her. It was so stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just split. Okay. All right. So yeah, and then yeah, they showed the White Walkers. What was the context there?
So I mean, well, before that, they were traveling in a group of four. John, the leader guy who everybody knows, and then two no names. So the two no names got killed. They captured the leader guy, and they captured John when the girl brought him to the wildlings. and then John and the leader guy fought, and he killed the leader guy, and then that's when he showed up in the city, and
Well, those were
then
some Rangers, some White Walker Rangers that were out doing a mission, but they were just kind of out for a long time, lost. I think that was the whole point of what their mission was. They were trying to retrieve those men.
yeah, and then they showed the ones that were left back trying to set up a camp or something, and then they heard the three horns, which meant that White Walkers are coming. They tried to run, Fat Boy fell. Then they showed I'm guessing the king of the White Walkers on his little zombie horse, and just a whole bunch of zombie guys, and then the season ended.
Yeah,
So yeah.
so those are the White Walkers, and they have an army of the dead.
hmm So Mandala, I want to get your opinion on well, I guess you kind of already know, so it's not an opinion, but up to this point, the White Walkers they were just myths essentially because like we hadn't really seen them,
Mhm.
just like dragons. I mean, we hadn't really seen dragons until
Yeah.
Daenerys showed the dragon. So when the White Walkers finally came and you saw them for real in the end of season two, what was your reaction?
Uh, I kind of already had a suspicion that they were out there based on the various clues that were presented in season one and season two.
Right.
But it was very fulfilling just to actually see them, and
hmm
but their numbers did surprise me how many of
Really?
them there was. Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, and it just brought more so of a threat for the oncoming seasons. So yeah, I mean, it was cool, and yeah.
Yeah. And Javar, me and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but and I guess it's a spoiler, so we don't have to go into it. But it kind of reminded me of The Walking Dead, where if you die, you come back regardless. So I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, I've only seen the first two seasons, so it looks like almost I don't know, it looks like just wildlings or people that are not within the borders of the wall. If you die, you turn into a zombie. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But since it's a spoiler, we don't have to go into that. Oh, the sex. Yeah, so like there's so much sex in this series.
Yeah.
And again, coming from Spartacus where there was a lot of sex in that, maybe I'm just sexed out. I don't know, but I feel like some of it is just so pointless. I mean, I guess Peter Baelish has to have something to do because he runs a brothel. Uh, but Javar, do you think that there's pointless sex in this series, or is it just whatever?
I guess I just don't really notice. Like, yeah,
Mm,
they do have a lot of scenes in brothels, but it's not like it's like main characters having a lot of sex. It's yeah, they
sure.
just have like brothels and just kind of background. That's just the setting. I guess they're just trying to say a lot of lords like to go into brothels. So I guess that implying that's just a common thing. A lot of business was done in brothels.
hmm
Instead of like bars or taverns, they went to brothels. That was more what highborn people did. So.
Sure. What about you, Monty? Did that stick out to you at all?
No, no, like yeah, it's just to illustrate the world more, more vividly, show what was going on, not trying to sugarcoat anything. Yeah, at times it can be a little crass, like maybe you know, maybe it seems like every episode needs that one sex scene
It seems like they have more than
to keep
that,
the
but
creepy
yeah,
viewer watching, but
yeah,
it,
Actually, not, man.
it's just become a
It's not every episode.
but no, well, I feel like as the show goes on, you get less and less sex, but starting
Oh,
off,
for sure.
I remember it being in abundance. But like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. It just makes the world feel more real, in my opinion. Like this is
How
what's
about the
really going on.
incest? I hear that more is like was something that bothers people is the
yeah,
incest scenes, particularly
yeah,
between Jamie and Cersei.
yeah. But there was only the one that I remember
Well, they,
seeing.
they had the
So,
interaction where like Viserys took off Daenerys' whole gown and was filling her up butt naked. That was like in the
oh,
first episode as well, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so that I was prepared for. I mean, so it didn't bother me. I know that mom was just like, I don't want to see that. So, I mean, I don't know. I kind of just it didn't really bother me because that's just the way they did things, I guess, back then. I didn't try to read too much into that. Um, it didn't bother me at all. You,
Yes, yeah, same.
same, yeah, okay. So yeah, wow, where are we? Oh, so yeah, so Jabbar, you said that you started watching the show in what, season two?
Yeah, about halfway through season two, I went and binge watched season one and caught up before the finale of season two.
So what makes you enjoy this show so much? I mean, this show is a huge series. It seems like everybody loves it. Why do you in particular like this show so much?
Once I started getting like started understanding what was going on, I started getting attached to the characters, and just their
hmm
stories just started becoming more and more interesting, and I just got more. involved, and there started being characters that I disliked, and set pieces that I didn't care about that I didn't like. But eventually, I realized I had to go back and watch again because stuff I wasn't paying attention to was actually important, like stuff at the wall and some of the politics stuff. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed how deep it was, and I enjoy. I honestly, for me, I only invest like when it comes to shows, when I really like watch all of it and watch it through. I only invest in like stuff that's really the best and has deep stories. Like that's just how I am. So this to me is just to me like Mondi said earlier, this is the best show of all time to me. Like I hope it
Wow.
ends correctly, but as it is now, I'm not having any more enjoyment out of anything like I've had with Game of Thrones.
Wow. What about you, Monty? Why do you like this show so much?
Like they just spent so much time on. Well, I know it's based off the books, but they just spent so much time on the lore, and it just as a watcher and as somebody, a viewer or whatever, or somebody who just likes likes film and TV, to see them take this much time and really flesh out a full history of fictional events. It's just so it's just so it's so nice to see that, and like the acting is stellar. The set pieces are stellar. The CG, you can just tell time is taken, is put into this, and the script, like everything is just top tier to me.
Costumes.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys noticed that the Lannisters always wear gold and crimson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're like you said, they're the richest family, so yeah. I mean, they always wearing top-notch stuff.
Just like how different houses and factions tend to dress alike and wear like the same type of stuff. Like how the Starks always wear like a lot of wolf-coated stuff, and just stuff like that. I'm really interested. I really love how much detail they put into it. Like Mondi was saying, it's honestly, I don't know how you couldn't love it, Joanne.
Oh, I've only seen the
right
first
up
two
your alley,
seasons,
man.
so yeah, we'll see. So how long did it take you to actually like fall in love with the show? Like, were you, Javar? Were you pretty much like a super fan of the show right when you started watching it?
For me, it took by the end of season 3, I was like all the way in. I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay, yeah. I mean, I was pretty excited for obviously I started halfway through season 2, so by the time I was really the one of the people like waiting for the next season to come on. I was waiting for season 3, and season 3 delivered. Like by the end of it, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm in.
That's good to know. What about you, Monty?
Yeah, so for me, it was at the end of season 1 when they chopped off Ned's head.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, what? Like, the protagonist of the show? Like, you're just gonna kill him like that? And
Yeah.
Actually, I've had this notion up until now. Actually, with you changed my whole notion that people who don't like Game of Thrones initially are just not intellectual. Like, I know that's not smart to think that. I
I'm
was
almost
like,
disappointed.
Yeah, I'm like,
for me though, man. I'm almost like disappointed when people don't like Game of Thrones. I'm like, man, you must,
Yeah,
must not.
like,
It
you
just
must
goes
not-
over your head. You're not smart.
yeah, you must not be able to comprehend certain things. But I know you since 7th grade. I know you're not dumb or anything like that. And you're not like.
Well,
So
thank you.
it's just so you hearing you say that it didn't stick with you at first. Now I have a different outlook on people who say they might not like it. Maybe it's not for everybody, because I was under the impression it was for anybody who has a sense of you enjoy fiction, you enjoy film, you have to just like this automatically.
Sure.
So so hearing you say that it didn't really catch you at first is changing my whole viewpoint on people who may not like it. Maybe it's not for everybody, but I know that I just love the show to everything.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm not here to say that Game of Thrones was awful. It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard getting through the first season. Like but I mean,
You knew
because
everything was happening already.
yeah, I mean, I was presented with so many spoilers, and like I said, like I'm so tired of the war and the betrayal. Like I just that kind of crap was major in season 1, and I just didn't care about that. So towards the end of season 1 and going into season 2, when they started going into more mythical things with the dragons and the wizards and warlocks, and that stuff brought me in a little bit more. And hopefully
there hasn't been one wizard on this show. Why do you keep bringing up wizards?
Yes, he was the dude that kept multiplying himself in the 13.
He was a wizard?
That's what they called him, a warlock, wizard, same thing.
Or a warlock and wizard, different. Okay, keep going.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, hopefully by the end of season 3, once I see the red wedding and all that, hopefully I'll love the show too. But we'll see.
Hold on. The red wedding. You know what that is?
Bro, I told you, I've seen so many spoilers for this show.
Oh my bro, that okay. Wow,
That
that's
defeats
That's
the
crazy.
purpose then.
Yeah, that defeats
no, I
the
mean,
entire
I don't
purpose.
I don't know what it is,
Oh, okay.
but I know that it's supposed to be like a
A
monumental
thing.
thing
Okay,
in Game
okay.
of Thrones.
Okay. Well, still,
So
okay.
as soon as I see Jamar, you said it's what season 3 episode whatever. As soon as I see Red Wedding come up, I'm like, all right, finally.
Oh
So
man.
I know, right? And
The second to
so
last
like,
episode is always a banger. It's always like the most dramatic episode of the season.
and
So
I think George R. Martin keeps writing those. I'm pretty sure he wrote season 1 episode 9 and season 2 episode 9. So yeah, but and yeah, I mean, picture from my
Yeah, I'm
perspective right
trying to.
now.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Like, it sucks that I know that about this series already. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
I hate spoilers, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I
Yeah.
understand that it's a
It's so
big
much
deal.
more effective when,
but I say
for
it's
me
okay
and
though.
Jabbar, probably when we watched it, when we saw the episode titled Red Wedding, we whatever.
Yeah, what the hell is a
then,
red wedding?
And
Sure.
then wow, what the world just happened?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so much more effective.
You know what's funny, Monty? I actually did hear about the Red Wedding from book readers. Like,
Oh, you did?
I heard that was like a monumental thing because
Okay.
the actual episode is not called the Red Wedding. It's called the Reigns of Castamere.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so I don't even think I don't remember who references it as the Red Wedding. I don't even know if it's referenced in the show. I think it is like after the fact or something. But
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And yeah, so guys, let's wrap it up, man. This is my final question. Javar, I'll start with you. So, do you have any final takeaways from the first 2 seasons, or something to look forward to aside from the Red Wedding? For listeners that haven't seen season 3 or beyond yet.
well, there's plenty more huge spoilers to come. I mean, there's a lot of shocking things, a lot of crazy events that happen. I mean, this show takes a lot of twists and turns. So many characters are going to evolve into things that you probably don't see coming right now, or maybe you do. So yeah, just stay tuned. To me, what's funny is that I thought season 2 was I was kind of underwhelmed when I was watching it
Really?
when I was first going through it. Yeah, because I was really attached to season 1. I feel like season 2. I mean, yeah, the battle at Blackwater was cool, but other than that, there was just a lot of more expansion. I was ready to get it going.
Yeah.
So season 3 starts to get going a little bit, and then after season 3, then the entire world like the focus of the story changes, and they take a little while to introduce the major themes again, but the show takes another twist then. So yeah, just keep watching, man. It's if you're not into all this war and politics, I mean, it evolves into more stuff later.
And what about you, Monty? Any major takeaways from the first 2 seasons and something to look forward to going ahead for people that haven't seen season 3 and on?
Yeah. So just yes. Well, something to look forward to. Just pay attention to the little history lessons that they give. It might seem monotonous at the time, it might seem insignificant, but everything they say pays off, which is why I also appreciate this show.
Yeah.
Like
No loose ends.
Yeah, there's a payoff to every thread line. So just pay attention to the dialogue. Don't be on your phone while you're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how you could be anyway, but I know some people are like that. And
Idiots.
just pay attention to character development and try and guess where you think characters are going based on their previous motivations and things of that nature. And it's just fun to watch how things play out. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but that's all I'm gonna say regarding that.
Okay. Fellas, I appreciate both of y'all coming on, man. This was a great episode. You guys have gotten me excited to keep watching Game of Thrones. Hopefully we didn't spoil too much for anybody that has not seen the show. At this point in time, I've only seen the first 2 seasons, so I'm going to plan to watch seasons 3 and 4 within the next few days. And we'll have to do another pod and debrief on it. So thank you again, guys. I really appreciate y'all coming on, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, it was fun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode of the Current Era Podcast. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope we didn't get too spoilery for you. We tried our best to stick within season 1 and season 2. Thank you so much to Javar and Mandala for keeping, the podcast as spoiler free as possible. I know it's hard for you guys because, I know you guys are completely caught up and you've seen so much. So thank you so much, guys. And we're definitely going to do this again once I finish season 3 and season 4. We're going to come at you guys with another episode. But yeah, man, this was so much fun. Thank you again to Javar and Mandala for taking time to come on and talk about Game of Thrones. And guys, that's all for today, man. Please remember to like, rate, and subscribe. You can always follow me on Instagram at Jules. That's JOUL3S. And yeah, guys, the Current Era Podcast. Thank you so much. Please share it with your friends. Share it with somebody at work. Share it with anybody that you know. Make our podcast grow. Make our podcast grow. Did I sound like Donald Trump? I really hope I didn't. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for all the love and support.